It was last Friday was the first day we did it, and it was just a huge success, just massive.
That's amazing.
Great. And the setup, kind of following those instructions I had. But yeah.
Yeah, it worked out really well. We're still trying to figure out which is the better way to go. Bring them in into the physical space and just record everything from there, and then have them use a separate chat feature. We use Today's Meet on a regular basis for real simple setting up chat so the online students can interact with each other. And so we're trying different ways of setting things up. And but the big difference for us was the instructor in this particular course has not been really good about acknowledging that the online students exist all the time. She gets going, she forgets that they're out there, and we actually placed the Kubies, since I think there's only about 14 in the class, we just put them all around a big long rectangular table, and we put the Kubies right directly across the table from the instructor. And so the first time the Kubi moved, everybody in the room, all the physical participants went, whoa, 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 that's different. And it immediately, it brought presence to the online student, so they feel present because you can move the Kubi around. But more than that, I think there was a massive impact with the people in the physical space, because now you had this thing that moves, and it brought presence from the online student into the physical room. And it was really a pretty nice thing where the residential students are going, oh, wow, we do have this person that's joining us online. And it was really an aha moment. And the instructor throughout the entire thing, because she was actually looking at the Kubi, and then the Kubi's moving around, she didn't forget once that she had online students to think about. So it makes a huge difference when it comes to presence, both for the people who are in the physical space and the person that's on the other end.
I think that's what we mean when we say Kubi makes video calls more engaging, right? Like that's exactly what we mean.
Christy. Yeah.
Christy from Zoom. You can turn around.
Oh no, hers powered off.
Yeah, I lost my
lost
my control panel.
Lost your mojo, literally.
Yes.
William, can you hear us? Are you doing okay over there?
Yeah, I'm doing fine.
Okay.
I'm getting used to. I'm switching between Kubi and the Zoom view, and so I'm also playing with sort of the gallery view settings and things like that. So I wasn't sure how to get back to my Kubi view.
Right. We were talking with some folks at Zoom about that this morning, whether we should eliminate the gallery view just to increase engagement in the kind of Kubi view. So you allow the administrator to turn that on and off so that you don't have a choice. You're committed to Kubi as the point of view or not.
Well, I went back to gallery view, and all I really had to do was just right-click on my Kubi and then do pin video, and then it just switched right back to it. So it wasn't difficult to get back to it.
All right, so you got it. All right. That was intuitive for you. Well, that's the question. Is Christy gone?
No, she's on. Just I had to connect that Kubi. That's the Android app. The Android app I don't think has an auto reconnect at this point.
Oh, she's on an Android. Okay.
Yeah, that's the Samsung one. So I'm just figuring out which one.
So what we have to do is hold the hand over the camera to identify which Kubi it is we're talking to.
Yeah, I was going to ask what that was. Was that like a special technique to?
Yeah, that's the high-tech method of doing it, so that you know like which one. It's like, okay, now I've covered William, so then I know that that's. And then what I do as the administrator is go and you could just click on that thumbnail when you see that, and then you click rename Kubi to that person. So then I could just say, okay, Dan, go to Dan Kubi, and then it does it. And actually what I just noticed is that you do only need the remote person to do one thing, because I think when you request camera controls, did it switch to pinning the video?
Yeah.
Okay, so you don't you have to hit pin video, which I know in the initial.
Yeah, I did request control, and then it went to it from there. I didn't have to click anything else.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah, so she's on here. Just I need to figure out how to get the Android app is definitely not quite as easy to find the person and pin them.
okay. So you have to scroll through it. Very close. There you go.
And now I need to figure. Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
Now Christy's live and she's plugged in.
Perfect.
Christy got our
Hey,
mojo.
everyone. Yay!
Yeah, so I know, I'm not sure if any of you have met Christy as well. We invited her on here. You know, she's one of the higher ed reps for Zoom. You could obviously introduce yourself a little, like.
Excellent. So I don't think I've worked with any of you directly. So we've launched our kind of Zoom full education segment. So I cover our eastern half of the U.S. And our school is out on the East Coast. And then my counterpart, Michelle, she covers West Coast. And I also have my colleague, Michael, who's kind of heads up the middle. And might be some other reps that you're currently working with, as we do have, you know, a wide spread because we continue to grow. But the great thing about Michelle and Michael and myself's role is that we really get to focus in on education and focus in on what your needs are. So it's very cool to be a part of this actually and see this in full experience right now, which is awesome.
Yeah, I mean, because we had, Christy, we had brought this same group together with also Michael from University of Arizona, and just started a roundtable discussion around how people are using Kubi in education, what are the needs, and a lot of these new features that we're testing here today are a result of the feedback from this group that is really, I would say, kind of the leading innovators in hybrid classes. And so we thought that we kind of would continue to bring this group together as thought leaders so we can just continue to discuss what's working, what isn't, and then, you know, obviously interested to have Zoom on board so that we can make sure that as we want to move, you know, and push the boundaries in the future, that we can, you know, discuss what other features that we have. A lot of them, as we've been doing all this, I've been discovering all sorts of new features in Zoom that I didn't even know already existed. You know, so sometimes it's just uncovering those features that might have already even been there, like this whole renaming one. I didn't know that you could do that, and that's really helping make this setup much better.
Awesome.
And then, you know, we did hosted these, you know, this one is just a meeting, but you can do all the same setup as a webinar format too. You can promote or demote, you know, panelists so that you can kind of, if there's a lot of students watching and one then has a question and you want to bring them live on video, you could actually kind of.
That's cool. Yeah.
And so I envision that being kind of a really interesting format, because then normally someone who's only kind of a view only, you had no way to bring them in to have that real presence there. But now with this webinar format of Zoom, you can do that. And, you know, there's still the couple steps needed, or I guess one step needed on this side to pin that specific person's feed to the video, and that's one. You know, I'm creating my list of requests of what you know, I see would be nice to have with Zoom. But I think as an administrator, this is the 5th hybrid class that I've set up, and seeing that if there was a way just from my laptop that I could say, you know, select one, and then I could lock. You know, from here, I could choose, you know, what video feed is going to be shown on the tablet. That would be much easier than I'm not reaching over, you know, on everyone independently. But I guess just interested from what you're seeing here and your experience, just your thoughts, you know, and kind of just discuss if you think, you know, that this is going the right direction and what you know, what we can learn from each other.
Definitely.
This is Randy at University of Washington, and what we're seeing is the more Kubees you add into this type of an environment, the number of video streams or the number of people that are in the room doubles. With you know, as you add a Kubee and then you have somebody actually log into Zoom to control a Kubee, you have 2 Zoom instances to make that happen. So when we had all 7 of our Kubees logged in the other day doing a bunch of testing, you had 14 people actually in the room. As you add more Kubees to the mix, we found that can be a bit confusing, and that's where we figured out that you could actually change the name of the Kubees on the fly from a host side, and we went, okay, now it makes much easier if we set all the Kubees up, get them going beforehand, before anybody even logs in. The Kubees are already logged in, they're already renamed to the people that are going to be joining the session, and that made that a little bit easier. But that was one of the comments from one of the people that works for me was, wow, when you get 7 Kubees on and you've got 7 remote people that are attending at the same time, if you're not really careful, it can be a little confusing for people. That's really been the biggest thing that anyone on my team has said is, you know, having double the number of streams in the Zoom room, it takes a minute to get used to figure out that, well, 2 of those streams are each person.
So yeah, so in a certain sense, you would want a given person to only be able to see the Kubee feed. So you as Randy, you should be able to see Randy Kubee, and maybe, like as we've set it up here, that there's one of the whole room. That maybe you could choose between those 2 options, but you shouldn't be able to necessarily go look through William's feed or Dan's feed. Like those, if those could not show up on yours, is that what you're saying would probably be?
Oh yeah, if there were a feature that we could actually turn, you know, if it's a Kubee feed, or, you know, however you want to set that up, if it was just limited to you only have the 7 people, you know, in the meeting, then, you know, that's what they see is those 7. But it does still make it nice to be able to scroll through the list of people there, you know, on the right bar, and see everybody that's there in the room. But it's just one of those things that, as we've used Adobe Connect in the past, when you get more and more attendees in a meeting, things tend to just get a little more complex.
Yeah, definitely, that makes sense. And so, I mean, a big question I have is, you know, as there's, right now you all have all the options of which view you can look at and how it could be set up. Is it where you're pinning your view out of that specific Kubee and you're able to turn to each person? Is that the best experience? Or do you still want to click switch to active speaker and just look at it that way? You know?
In my experience, this is, you know, the best one so far, because this is the first one that has multiple Kubees that I've seen with all the enhancements on it.
Yeah.
The only thing that I would still like to see is, you know, kind of the presets. So if the room is going to be set up the same way every time, like have a preset 1 that goes to this Kubee, a preset 2 that goes to this Kubee, so that it makes the setup time a lot easier. And if you're switching back and forth to the other people, you don't have to sit there and hold the button to go and then go over and
yeah.
We were just talking about that.
Yeah, so with the Zoom execs, that was one of the things you brought up. Like, for example, the camera that I have set up here, which is actually a Logitech webcam that's plugged into my computer that's on a Kubee, I have that set so that I just have a few presets. So here, I'm looking out at the office, I can, you know, turn where Jeff's not in view. Oh, I guess now he's out of view. So, you know, so I can have those different presets, you know, so there's on me, here's looking out the window.
Right.
So having that sort of thing right within the Zoom meeting, and here we'll move this Kubee for Christy so she can see too. You know, I believe as well is very valuable, because we actually do think that it's good from the discernible attention aspect to be able to make it so that each person needs to control it themselves. Like, for example, like like Christy, she was looking off a weird direction, and I thought either she wasn't paying attention or we found out the Kubi wasn't working.
Right.
So sort of thing. So the student's not paying attention if it's not automatic. If it was automatically moving to the speaker, the student could be playing video games and you wouldn't know it.
Right.
But the person's paying attention and when they're not. So.
Yeah, you know what? It was John Bell and William Kane and your team that came up with discernible attention. I mean, you brought that to our, I was pacing around this conference table and John was telling me about this idea. I was blowing my mind. So what's interesting, William, is that you showed us this U-shaped setup. We saw it on Twitter, and then we've been mulling this and working on this, and now we have integrated that idea into Zoom. Zoom is facilitating this. What do you think of now that your child has grown a little and is now in adolescence?
We're happy with the direction that it's going. Discernible attention has been a big factor in robotic telepresence. Being able to communicate and make contact with people, to be able to look around, especially when there's a big face-to-face presence in the room. So and people are responding positively to that. So the latest thing that we've done is looking at doing robotic telepresence, doing support for that in contexts that are outside of the classroom. Classrooms are they're kind of dependent on pedagogical strategies. And so in some ways, the strategies that the teachers had in mind might run counter to what actually the devices can do. But we're finding that for certain learning environments, like a research group, where there's a lot of more off-the-cuff interaction, and you're kind of responding more in situ to kind of the sort of give and take. People are asking questions. People are kind of looking for responses, looking for answers, and in that way, it's been using Kubi in these kind of environments it's been a real plus, because especially for people who can't be there. Before it's been they've been on Zoom, and in some ways that it's been asking people to sort of migrate to either one or the other. And I think with a Zoom integration, you've got really, and I'm aiming this one at Christy because I think this is a real selling point.
Again.
That with an integration with robotic telepresence, you're still able to have an easy transition for critical mass. We've been thinking about where a fundamental question, as weird as it sounds, is where is the class? Where is the group in all of these kinds of interactions? And realizing that Zoom is a robust platform, and it allows for, it's really good at conveying presence and social presence among large groups of people who are online, and without much regard for if they've got, the face-to-face factor doesn't really matter. But when we're blending these two groups, where you might have 5 or 6 people who are in a room, and then there are some who are on Zoom, it can be this really sort of startling and sort of an awkward transition to move between the face-to-face, the physical space, and the online space. And we're finding that a lot of these the online participants are very comfortable with a Zoom type interface. Mm-hmm. We're online. This is an online interaction. Let's stay online. But with our experiments and the type of support that we're providing for synchronous hybrid learning, being able to make those transitions is really important. And so now we have face-to-face presence with Jeff and Marcus. And this is great because I'm still in the online environment. I can access that easily. We can all do our personal asides and feel like we're in that safe space. But hey, guess what? I can also step through.
We actually think that the online experience is better than the real experience, because you are sitting at your desk with access to all your online tools. You're just floating in reality, which sucks.
Because, like, for example, you guys could be having a chat right now, like, especially like, okay, well, you were just speaking, but if if Randy and Dan and Christy wanted to chat about something, they could have started getting in chat and having the chat. But like for me, if I would have gone and like got down here and okay, I see you're chatting, like it's very obvious, you know. So it's a like I actually started feeling jealous of the participants when we hosted the panels
in
2 weeks ago in Vegas.
Yeah.
They were having this active conversation. Because Zoom, it kind of popped up. I could like every once in a while see it if I was looking just at the right time. But it actually made me feel like I was missing out by being an in-person participant, which is, I mean, I feel like we've really succeeded if you've actually made the experience better for the remote participant.
Yeah.
You know, obviously you can figure out a way to capture that. You know, maybe there's a feed, you know, that would be on the second screen that the in-person people could see, so they could still be a part of that.
Which
that was an interesting discovery. Was that?
That's what we find in the amount of virtual meetings that we do. We do a huge variety of virtual meetings and using just about every virtual meeting tool on the planet, because wherever somebody wants to meet, that's where we meet. And what we find is once people cross that threshold of being really, really comfortable with the online meetings, they're just fine never having a face-to-face meeting because of what you just said, Marcus. They have full access to all of their tools. You can have these private conversations on the side, and still be actively engaged in what's happening in the meeting. And I think the more we get people past that threshold, the more we have people who I have people that I've met with who initially were like, "Oh, I don't do virtual meetings, man. This is not something that I'm comfortable with." And now they're like, "Oh man, can you just meet me in my virtual office? I'm good with this now." And they've moved to the point where they're sharing Google Docs with me, and so we do all of our note taking, you know, real time in the meeting in a Google Doc environment, where 3 years ago this person had never even used a Google Doc, and now they're so comfortable with it, they promote it now to other people in our institution, going, "Why don't we just do this fully online? Because then I don't have to walk the 30 minutes across campus, because our school is in 3 different buildings, and 2 of them happen to be on the opposite ends of the UW campus, with one right in the middle of campus. So it's a minimum 20-minute walk to get from, you know, point A to point B, but it's another 15 minutes to get from point B to point C." And I think the more we get people really engaged in understanding the online meetings and the benefits of the online meetings, I see more and more people who they're not really interested in doing a face-to-face meeting. It's just, let's meet in my virtual office. And I think that's where we are. And I think that's when we see with our Kubies in our online courses now, I think our students in the room are feeling somewhat like you two were, Marcus and Jeff, that, you know, the students in the room, unless we tell them, bring your laptop and log into the Zoom room anyway, which we've encouraged students to join us in the virtual space, even though they're in the real room, because they miss out on the back channel. And the back channel is hugely important in what's happening as the instructor is going through things and the amount of chatter that's happening. And we just tell the physical students, go to the back channel, join us in the back channel, because you're missing out.
Right.
I wonder if you change it to where it's no longer called the back channel. You know, that's just the text, the
channel.
text chat channel of the communication. Yeah.
Well, and I think for us that has been the central question of critical mass, is where's the bulk of where are all the people sharing that sort of psychological space together? And if it's online, fine, it's online. And let's all get online, even though, you know, some of us might be in a face-to-face environment. Let's join. Let's go where the people are. And so, but I think for some of these balanced classes, or for 1 or 2 hybrid students, or 3 where critical mass is located in that physical environment, robotic telepresence, I mean, really giving you discernible attention, being able to have a certain amount of individual presence there, but with Zoom integration, still being able to give asides and to kind of share that sort of online solidarity with some of your online compatriots or whatever you want to call them. I think it's really cool.
So the other thing I wanted to talk about was audio, because I know that was some in our last discussion. You know, we saw it as challenges, and I know that that the way MSU had set it up, it was each Kubi was kind of on its own Kubi video feed before, and so now this has changed a little bit. So like what we have here is I have plugged into my computer the Jabra speakerphone, and then I've muted everyone else. And so the sound is no longer coming from each one of you, but it actually, I haven't noticed it to be a problem, is that having a centralized audio source, I think probably as once you would get to maybe like 10, 20, Kubis, it might be more of a problem. But right now where there's, I've done, well, on the Zoom one that we did earlier, we had 7 people. You could still, you would hear someone speaking, and you can quickly, as a participant, you could scan the room and see who's, talking, or you recognize their voice. But what this does is then it connects that all of you remote people are hearing each other through the Zoom, as opposed to, tablet speaker to speakerphone, transmitting. So I presume it's probably a pretty good experience for all of you right now. Would you say?
Absolutely.
Yes.
That was going to be my question on the audio, so that's great.
Other than our room here is a little echoey.
That's similar to the way that we've set it up. Even though we don't have a lot of Kubis yet, we would have the Mondo pads in the room, and they're tied with the Zoom. The speaker is ceiling speakers in the whole room, but then the mic is the small Bluetooth Callisto 620, and we haven't had any audio issues.
Yeah,
That's good.
so okay. I know I tried out the Callisto 620. I think I still have one. Maybe it needs a firmware update. We had some challenges on it. But you have it worked pretty good for you? Okay. Yeah, this has been my favorite so far of the ones we've used. Just this little, I think it's about $100 too, the Jabra 510.
One thing that I haven't tested that I had a question about was, like, even in this scenario with multiple Kubi, if you did a screen share from like the host of the meeting, they all still see that screen share?
Yeah, so that's certainly something to talk about. Let me find something that I share. All right, here, we'll just add a Google Calendar invite.
And as you're bringing up the screen share, Marcus, our experience when you talk about the audio, if you get more than a couple of Kubis in a Zoom session that are sitting on a table together, we found that you get more than 2 and you really struggle with the feedback. And you really can't have multiple Kubis in the same meeting room if they're in the same physical space without having some sort of audio solution in the physical space.
Right.
And that's something that, it's just nearly impossible to have a positive experience for anybody that's got a headset on that's in a remote place, because the Kubis just feedback with each other so bad.
1 second, we're trying to get Michael Griffith on the call. He's not seeing it. 200-232-660. 200.
Yeah, so one thing that, and I'll tell Zoom about this issue is that when you do the screen share, actually I've already told them about it, it pulls away the pin videos, so now I'm having to repin.
Oh, now you have to repin.
It's switching back to active speaker, so. But one thing we did find within webinars is that you can keep, so for the in-room participants, if like here, I have on the screen and I want to do where there's one screen that's, full video feed, and then the other screen is the screen share. From this side, you can actually have both of those still visible.
Right.
So that's pretty nice.
And that's how some of our rooms will be set up too, since the Mondo pads have a different a new version of their software to where they support dual displays. So we can have one touchscreen display be the video meeting, and then the other screen display like a whiteboard or whatever they want to share.
Right. Yeah. Going back on there. So yeah, so that's the challenge though, is that right now there's no way to keep because really you don't necessarily want to be sharing the screen share to each of the Kubis, right? Like you don't want that to show. Can you find scenarios where you would want the screen share to actually show on the Kubi? I think that would only be if you didn't have kind of a central projected screen, kind of a smaller meeting scenario where you're like, oh, okay, here, take a look at this. Only the Kubi's your only device in the room. Then you'd want to do that. But if you have, you know, a main device like of how I've set it up here, that okay, my laptop that's where I'm hosting it from. That's the speaker phone. That's where I'm connected to the full room camera. That's where I'll do the screen sharing from. Then I actually don't really want the screen share to go to your screens because I want to still see you guys as I'm screen sharing. Right.
I guess the main purpose of the question was to figure out how that would work, because last week we got a call. There's going to be like a instructor at a class at Kings Bay, and then there'll be like 4 local students there, but they have 2, if not 3 of the remote campuses. They're going to have, you know, people coming in through Zoom. So my thought was if we had, you know, Kubi at the host site where the instructor was, how that scenario would play out, and the best setup, I guess, to make it work best for the online students.
Where are you located? I don't know where Brunel University is, Dan. Where's Kings Bay?
South Georgia on a naval base.
From what state?
It's still in Georgia.
Oh, Georgia. Okay, that's where you are. Okay, I'm just.
Yeah, so our main campus is in Gainesville, Georgia, and we have other campuses in Norcross, Augusta, Fairburn, Kings Bay, and Jacksonville.
Okay. Okay. And it's similar to Randy. The University of Washington has 3 campuses as well, correct?
We do have 3 campuses, but they're kind of distinct entities in some ways. We've got a campus in Tacoma, and they kind of run their own programs, even though they're all part of UW. But the main campus is the Seattle campus.
But do people take cross-campus curriculum? Like they'll take something in Tacoma even though they're in Seattle? Or?
Generally not.
Okay.
Most people, if they live in the Tacoma area, then they'll go to the Tacoma campus. So occasionally we'll see that. We've had a couple of faculty that will actually teach at both campuses, but that's pretty rare.
I mean, that's where I'm going with that question is, does this facilitate cross-network education? I suppose it would.
Right, because I mean, mainly we'll have some an adjunct that's hired, and if they have to have 10 or 15 people to offer the course, but then you only got 4 people at one campus, they're not going to offer it at that campus.
Right.
The hybrid environment for, okay, we'll teach it from here, and then multiple people can join it from remote places just so that they have enough students for the class.
Makes perfect sense. And what about you, William, at Michigan State? What's the format of that system?
I mean, we just have a big single campus. I suppose is that what are we distributed in any way? I mean, it's a really big campus.
Oh, so now you don't have to walk to class anymore.
Yeah, I mean, like I went to UC Berkeley, and it would take 25 minutes to walk from one side to the other.
Well, I mean, yeah, and especially when it's snowing outside, it's really nice to be able to have the option to do that, and so. And it's really good for a lot of our hybrids. So the campus itself is not really distributed, but in terms of my program, we support 2 tracks. One is a face-to-face program for doctoral students, and one is for hybrid. And that's very distributed. Some of those students actually are coming in from different states. We have a woman who comes in from Hawaii, and we have them using different devices, and it really supports that kind of that sort of interaction, and helps the hybrid students really feel like they're here. and that they're part of the on-campus proceedings, which is really valuable. I think when we first started out with the hybrid track, we envisioned it as being sort of an asynchronous thing. And so for people who don't have easy access to a face-to-face option, robotic telepresence is just, I mean, it's a game changer for them. They're always talking about that. It's just like, wow, I'm here. I'm actually here.
Okay. So instead of having a distributed campus, you actually have a program with distributed students.
Right.
Okay. It's all right. Interesting, a few different use cases.
It looked like you might have found that you could switch your camera, right?
Yes, I was switching between cameras, and it was actually giving me control over both.
Yeah. So that's switching the front and rear, and it looks like it's designed so it centers when you switch.
Oh, that's what I'm doing. Got it.
That's why it's sped back.
Yeah, why it kind of comes back to center. I think each time.
On just a purely technical issue. So I've got control of it. I can see, and I'm looking primarily through my Kubi view. If I switch to gallery view, say hi to Michael.
Mike on?
Yeah, Michael's on now.
And I'll be hopping off here real quick, but it was so great to hop onto another meeting. But Michael, my colleague, is my other education counterpart, so I'll let him take over for here.
Great. Thank you, Christy. Nice meeting you.
Nice to meet you all.
Bye-bye, Christy.
We put you on one, Michael. To kind of let you know what we had going on here is this is a group this is kind of our second roundtable of talking about using Kubi telepresence for hybrid meetings and with Zoom. This is kind of the first time that we're setting it up with the new Zoom features where you can have multiple people controlling the Kubi all within one meeting. I can get yours set up for you to control. We put you on a Kubi I grabbed off our CTO's desk, which seems to be one that's a flaky one. That's probably why it was there, so it's not staying connected. But the other guys, essentially their experience is designed so that they pin the video of the specific one. So you would pin the one, say that's Christy Kubi, and that would be the one you're looking through, and then you can control that specific one.
Awesome, thanks.
Yeah, my pleasure. So I was just trying to think, there were some other questions I had for you guys. Oh yeah, so the other question is so trying to think about the experience of any participant. So let's say it's set up as a webinar. So there's in-person people, remote panelists, but then you might also have remote viewers. And so right now, I would say in this setup, the view is good for all the remote panelists, but the way I've set it up here is that I have one central camera. So if I'm trying to talk to you guys, it's more that the people are looking. The remote viewers, when I'm speaking, or like say if you guys said switch to active speaker on yours, you see you're kind of an outsider looking at other people having the conversation. That's not like and obviously we could, if we knew it was a panel and we're like presenting in that way as opposed to just a conversation amongst us, then we would all kind of face the audience as we spoke. I've just been trying to figure out what's that best experience so that it actually captures me. That you want. I like to show the whole room view so that lets people know what this hybrid class looks like. But in reality, they probably would rather see either the video feed, switch to video feed from right here as I'm speaking. This is the one from my laptop, but now there's no longer a whole room view. Right. So that's kind of, and I guess I'd have to choose. No, I'm not looking at any of you when I'm talking either. So that's the one remaining one that I'm still trying to figure out, which is, so if you're broadcasting it to people that aren't part of the group, then which camera do you show for that in-person one? I don't know if anyone had thoughts about that.
I would say just like you did, how you switched it to show your laptop camera to where it was that view.
Yeah.
I mean, that seemed like the best one.
Okay, so if like while I'm talking, that
Yeah.
it would just leave it on here. So don't even use that other webcam. So
Right.
just set it up this way.
But to add on to that, in my experience with the people that have done the Zoom meetings, a lot of people like the gallery view because they can see everybody and see all of the other cameras. But that takes away your Kubi control if you're controlling a Kubi. So I don't know if it would to have the controls still at the bottom in that view somehow.
So with dual screen, you can.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you click in on your laptop version, the settings, and then let me see which one it is. And I think you have to do that before the meeting.
Right.
I don't think you can do it while the meeting's going on. So if you click settings, and then under general, there's a use dual monitors.
Okay.
And so if you click that one, then it pops out 2 separate video feeds, and that's the same one that you would use for like a webinar to allow a full screen video feed and the screen share at the same time. I had to play around. It like worked in some scenarios when it was like if you were sharing the same screen that the video feed was on, then it took it away. If you were sharing the other one, then it didn't take it away. So but play around with it. It's something, just the logic. You just have to figure out what Zoom is programmed in there.
Gotcha.
And we like the gallery view as well, but this is where the complexity of when we had all 7 Kubis logged into the same Zoom session with 7 remote attendees, gallery view becomes incredibly confusing as you look at gallery view. And so we encourage people to not use gallery view when you got 7 Kubis logged in at the same time. Just because until you're used to that, it becomes kind of a difficult thing. And when you look at gallery view right now, Marcus, we have multiple angles of your face because that's where all the Kubi cameras are pointed at this point. And so I think that's where the gallery view is a little bit more difficult when you start doing lots of Kubis in the same session. So we just kind of encourage everybody just to pin the view of whichever camera they want to look at using the gallery view, and that's something that we'll be definitely putting into our documentation as we do more and more with our synchronous hybrid course this quarter.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the question is almost, do you want to switch to whoever has the best view at a given time? That it's like because so the person next to you, like if they're talking right now, since the tablet screen is flat, unless you have enough of an arc to it, depending where they're looking, you're just looking at, like I know Dan, the view you had just had was just at the side of Randy, so you couldn't even see him there. So you almost would have rather come into a different view.
Right. Absolutely.
Question I had for you, Michael, was do you know within Zoom, is there a way for an individual to remove a thumbnail? So let's say we're in I'm in gallery view right now, and I have I actually don't want to see the one that's Dan Kubi, William Kubi, Christy Kubi. Is there a way that I can either organize those so I can prioritize which ones are shown, so that they're further to the right, or I can actually even hide them just from my view? I see if I click there, I can, mute video, but that probably, let's see what I did now.
Yeah, so you can kind of cut someone's video, and then you can also hide non-video participants.
So I can mute someone's video, but William, I just clicked yours. You stopped being able to see your video feed, right? When I did.
Let's see. I can't.
So right now, can you not see William Kubi?
I can. Let's see. I can. Let's see. Hide non-video participants. So I'm giving up I can't see. There's no feed that's coming through William Kuby right now.
Right, yeah, because I just stopped it. So, but well, that's not what I would just want to be able to remove that from my gallery view, just because it's like, oh, that's a duplicate angle.
Yeah, I mean, so from the gallery view perspective, I mean, you guys are going to be able to, everyone that is a participant in that meeting will be part of that gallery view.
Right.
So the only way you're going to be able to remove someone from that view is if, you cut their video and then you can right click on there and you can also hide, hide that view. But like as far as just joining and being able to distinguish who you would like to show and not show, that's not currently something that we can do, I don't believe.
Right. Okay, that's what I.
Yeah, but as far as hiding non-video participants, you can definitely do that.
Yeah, that I was aware of.
So I have a question.
I'm sorry.
My question is, we did a demo for a dean of a school here in Australia. So my wife works for a university here in Australia, and so we demoed the Kuby that I had sent here for him, because they're looking at a project where a remote person can control the Kuby, look at student work, look at what students are doing, and this is predominantly with science experiments and labs and things like that. And his comment was, is there ever going to be the option of actually using the Zoom on the actual iPads or Android tablets that are mounted on the Kuby?
Right. So, well, that would be something we'd have to ask. From a digital Zoom perspective, that's something we would have to ask Zoom to enable there. I know that they haven't, for whatever reason, probably because it's digital Zoom just lowers your resolution, they probably decided not to. But, it's everything's kind of in place there for that to be able to work. So I guess it would be an interesting question for Zoom of why that hasn't been enabled in just your standard applications, even if somebody's not on a Zoom device, just enabling kind of a digital Zoom where you can locally zoom into certain areas.
Yeah, I can ask and check on that for you. I'm not 100% sure. That's actually a great question. So I can check with our engineering team and see what things are maybe down the pipeline or something like that for that ability.
Okay.
Yeah. That would be great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what we've had to do in the past is we've had, like in one room, we used an InFocus PTZ camera, and then went ahead of time and pre-built the presets, like one for the MondoPad screen, one for like a whiteboard screen, and then one for like a view of the whole room. But you still had to manually change it from that remote. It wasn't like built into an application or anything like Zoom or anything. Yeah,
we did do for one customer that was trying to use Kuby for telestroke. We actually grabbed a 12x telephoto lens that goes on the back camera. I could stick it on one of the iPads if you guys want to see that. And they could switch to the back camera and then zoom way in with that one. But it was just, you have one camera or the other.
Right.
I'll grab it just since we're all here, and you'll be able to go ahead and see it. So this is this is the guy here. This like 12x telephoto thing, and so it's a case that's got the mount in it. Actually, we even designed a Kuby Secure. This one only goes on the iPad Air 1. There's like slight differences. So Randy, you're the one that's on that, so you'll get the 12x option.
Okay.
To check out student work.
So the problem with the 12x zoom is that you need to be at least about 8 feet away or so, otherwise actually, work too well. So Randy, if you now switch your camera, there you go. And so now.
Oh, that's a good looking wall.
If you look, we have kind of a, you'll see the back, or I guess the other way, because it's flipped now. So yeah, back the other way, you'll probably see some text. Yeah, there you go.
Looks like I can read the text on the board there, all of one word.
Yeah, maybe it'll even make more sense if you look, keep going to the direction you were going. There's a board more up that way, or maybe even looking at the, like, we'll just turn you so you're looking at the monitor. See if, I guess that one's in the way. You know, so if you go up and a little to the left, you can like maybe see if you can actually read the text on the screen.
Yeah, you can read the text on the screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean that's actually pretty interesting to be able to.
Yeah.
So I think I'm the only one that hasn't figured it out yet. How do we switch to the back camera?
So that's one way around it, and we can. I can give you guys reference to this. It's like, I think it was from Homaker Schlimmer or whatever, you know, there's a few different versions of those ones where you can put them on the back camera and then get the 12x. And so it's kind of like, okay, you want to zoom in, flip the Kubi around, you know, just leave it so that there's at least enough travel. And that's kind of a quick fix. But we are working to, you know, figure out ways to actually have true optical zoom tied into to this. So.
Oh.
William, has your camera controls been dropping quite a bit, or I see yours keep saying William is stopped controlling and now controlling the camera.
Yeah, I seem to, even when I'm logging in. So for one thing, okay, it's not immediately apparent to me how, if I'm accessing a Kubi view, how can I switch between, say, just, okay, I'll get a Kubi view and I'll be looking at you and Jeff, and then maybe I'll switch to gallery view, but it's not clear to me how I get back to my Kubi view.
Oh, you have to click pin video on William Kubi.
Okay. Even if I want to switch between.
I think so. Do you know? Well, actually, Michael, maybe you could answer that question. So, if you go to gallery, like say you have a specific one pin, like I'm going to go ahead and pin William Kubi, and then if I go to gallery view, and then I click back to speaker view, it actually didn't go back to William Kubi. It went this went to William Christopher Kane instead. So it's kind of that memory, the same. I think it's probably part of that same root cause of the screen share one, that it's going back to active speaker. It's not staying in a pin mode.
Right.
Do you know a way, Michael, to keep it so it's pinned?
I mean, from the end user perspective, I guess, just as far as just kind of pinning that video and switching back to active speaker, it's going to basically toggle you back and forth. So what you're saying is what you wanted to pin that video. I guess I'm not quite getting the exact with the Kubi and how you guys are.
Well, so go ahead and do a pin video on William Kubi.
Okay, gotcha.
And then now switch to gallery view.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you go back to speaker view, ideally it's going to go back to William Kubi view.
It's going to go back to the active speaker no matter what.
Yeah, right.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the logic that is I think throwing us for a loop, is that it's automatically going back to active speaker when you
Correct.
there, instead of going back to what the most recent one we used is.
Right, you're going to have to then repin that video again if you would like to go back to that same view.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
That answer it?
Yeah, so that might be, we'll come up with our little requests of things, and maybe that's a checkbox that someone could enable, choose that within, return to active speaker view or return to pinned view.
And I don't find it actually all that terribly difficult. I've been going back and forth between all the different views, and once I figured out that, I just right-click on the video stream that I want and say pin video, then it gets it right back, and I don't see that being a huge challenge once you actually understand how it works, because then you can pin anybody's video and go back and forth between those views.
Yeah.
I've been doing the same thing, and it hasn't been that difficult, but I think the enhancement would be that it switches, if you switched, it goes back to your most recent one.
Looks like we
on your own Kubi and switch to somebody else's and switch it back, it goes back to your own.
Yeah.
Also, Marcus, it looks like I've lost the ability to control my William Kubi. Is there anything? Did I break anything on? Because I'm requesting control. Now I'm going to give up control. Now I'm going back to requesting control. Request approve. You can now control William's Kubi, but I'm unable to drive. I'm unable to maneuver it.
Huh. Okay. And you're in speaker view?
Yes.
Of that given one. Let me see if I'm able to.
And the video's pinned, so.
Yeah, no, it's still connected, but yeah, it doesn't look like that it's any longer controlling that one.
I mean, luckily I've got a good view of you and Jeff, but.
Thank you for saying that. We appreciate that.
We've actually seen that on a couple of occasions, not often, but we've actually had that on a couple of occasions where we lose control, and we just had to restart the Kubi and the iPad, and then the control comes back. But I think that's happened on 2 occasions now with our Kubis.
So I'll report this issue to Zoom, because obviously this is a new release here, and there might be bugs with adding some of these new features. So I can let them know, because obviously that's something that is not intended to do that. So let me just note the time. So in case you guys are ever, I don't know if you've reported any bugs to Zoom in the past, but basically what they usually ask for is the meeting ID and the time. So then they can go back, they can look at some of the records. Like we had one, we set up Kubi on stage at this event, and there was an echo going on, and we were trying to work with them to debug, what was the root cause of that. So that's kind of the best way to deal with that. So let me just.
Right now, I'm noticing that the person with the most presence in in this session is actually Marcus.
Well, yeah, because everybody. I like to be the center of attention. It's like a bullet time review.
Yeah.
Right.
Do the Matrix style stuff.
You must watch me and only me.
Marcus actually is anonymous, and he likes the whole thing on all the screen.
Let me just put Michael on.
But Michael's going to have the biggest presence because he's on the iPad Pro, so he's going to be.
Yeah, I was thinking, is that a Pro on a Kubi?
Yeah.
Because I don't think mine would stretch to that.
No, you'll grow to fit the role.
Yes. Do you water them? What is the?
Yeah, this on me, and it's the secure too. So I don't know which everyone's looking at right now, but that on there. Unfortunately, that one, Michael, right now is not connecting through the Zoom meeting.
Gotcha.
The debug as well. What I'm going to do, I'm going to log this out. You'll still be in the meeting, but just you won't be able to pin to the William one, and let's see if it comes back as a result of that.
Okay.
Thank you, Michael. Do you have control now, or
No.
I can request it.
No, actually, yeah, the one that you're on, it's not. The Kubi is not connecting.
Okay.
Yeah, you want to grab one off Tiffany's desk?
If only we had one more Kubi.
Oops. Ubi. Okay, so William, you should be able try and
All right, let me give it a shot.
see if William Kubi lets you back on now. Yeah, bring that tablet too.
All right, it looks like I've got my controls back.
Yay.
It did have the latest view on it.
Should.
I think this is what we're going to do for the rest of our lives, is sit in this conference room and people are going to continue.
Now I've got to ask Michael from Zoom. Does Zoom buy your backdrops, or do you have to provide your own?
They buy them for us.
Nice.
It's called Great Big Canvas.
Uh-huh.
And it's kind of part of the, they say, hey, pick out something. I actually just recently vacationed in Switzerland, so I thought, beautiful, love the background. It's a great, talking point, and people always ask me, like, hey, what is it? Like, what do you guys got going on there? So, yes, it is a background. Unfortunately, I'm not there. I'm actually in an office. Yeah, we're actually looking to maybe incorporate kind of this kind of sort of setting in a green screen, kind of down the road in actual Zoom meetings where you can actually kind of change your background and things like that. So you don't have to actually have something physically hanging behind you for aesthetics. So.
Well,
Wow.
didn't you already do that within webinars? Isn't that enabled within webinars? Or?
Not yet. Not yet. But it's coming hopefully in the next few quarters or so. I mean, we don't like to put an exact date on it, but it is something that we're looking at.
And have any of you used Personify that you can use with Zoom?
Oh.
I haven't.
Oh, okay. So even Michael has it. So I'll be letting you know about other integrations that exist there. So Personify is actually really cool. So what it is, it's using the Intel RealSense camera. I don't know if you guys know about that one. So it's basically a new webcam that it's kind of like the Kinect sensor. So it actually does three-dimensional imaging. And so you can do a green screen with that. So, okay, there we go. And so unfortunately, I'm on a Mac, and there's no RealSense support yet on Macs, but I could show you what it would look like on there. I'll just pull up a little picture, because for example, what's pretty interesting with that is then when you're screen sharing, you can choose where you're positioned, and you can even be like the weatherman, like pointing out things. It's pretty cool what you can do with that. So I definitely would recommend you guys, checking it out, because we've been working with Acer on a healthcare, home care dashboard, where the Kubi would be sitting in the home of the patient, the doctor or caregiver is going to be remote. Now they can log in, start sharing the screen, and say, oh, look, your blood pressure is really high, that sort of stuff. So it's pretty interesting.
We're all going to be weathermen in the future.
I know we do a lot of Google Hangouts with our students because we've got a Google domain, and you can actually build custom backgrounds, kind of green screen approach within the Hangouts. And when I teach students how to do that, they get really creative on putting together their custom backgrounds for Google Hangout sessions. So it is kind of a cool technology to be able to do that digitally. So I would be really interested in that, Michael, when you guys get that working.
Yeah, I know it's in the works, but like I said, as far as timeline, I'm not sure, but it's people are looking forward to it, so we'll do.
But this already works within Zoom with the RealSense. So if you're the instructor and you're on a PC, and you can get Creative has a USB RealSense camera, so even if it's not built in, you can do, so this is the image, this is just a static image, but is from the RealSense camera. You start doing the desktop sharing in Zoom. And so now you can do this. And what's really cool is you can move your own image around anywhere on the screen. And you can even change the size. So if you want to be real small or big, you can do that.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So it's a fun little thing that can be done. Let's see if I can stop the share. No, unfortunately, I gotta repin everyone here.
Oh, is that true? So after sharing a screen, then we lose our pinning?
That's a bug that I'm trying to get Zoom to fix. So from all your perspective, well, you're just not going to still see the right people on there.
Right. I've lost my remote control.
Oh yeah. Yours. Wait. Where? No, you should still have remote control. This.
Right. Let me go back and find my Kubi. That says give up camera control.
Yeah, so it's not showing up for you now?
Not showing the control on the bottom right.
Okay. It might have happened what just happened to Williams. Here, let me disconnect and reconnect this Kubi for you.
Yeah, mine was pretty simple. I did just like the other ones, just had to right-click my Kubi and do pin video, and it gave me my control back and switched back to the right view.
Okay.
And everything went fine.
Try that.
Yeah, and did you have to request camera control again or no?
No, I just had to pin video. That was it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all I've had to do is just pin the video, and then you see the controls again on the screen.
We're all pushing the boundaries of what.
Totally.
We're probably doing like a bunch of things Zoom never even thought were possible. Okay, so now
looks like, is that mine that you just covered?
Yeah, I'll
rename
to you.
No, I have to go my own lunch.
Yeah, so now it's called Michael Kubi, and that one should. Let me just plug you in just to make sure.
There we go.
And then you should be back.
And I'm back.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Oh. And then it is right now, and I don't want to completely turn the whole meeting crazy, but it is set up that you can actually knock someone else off the Kubi. So if you start requesting camera control on another one.
We're not going to.
We tested that some, and I think that we'll talk with Zoom about, if it's going to ask somebody, it's like that whoever's controlling it at the given time should probably be given the option to allow somebody else to, like if I wanted to start controlling Michael's, I should be able to go and say, hey, can I take the camera controls from Michael?
Right.
As opposed to just letting me take it over.
Or if somehow I had to go through the host of the meeting, and then they had to say, okay, well, you can have control of that one. Or would that be too much approval or?
Well, so that's the new feature that Zoom's eliminated with this release is no longer can only the host be the one controlling the camera and have multiple within a meeting. And even, if one of you set up a Kubi at your location, we could control that one too, so in location, so.
I mean, this is the huge thing, this idea of a single meeting to call into, and then giving the remote control to the appropriate students for us.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so, Michael, one thing, and you experienced it now because I named it for you, but we've found that for assigning people to specific Kubis, the easiest way is that I go ahead and cover that specific one while I'm in gallery view, and then I can there's the option, as the host, you have the option to rename it. So that's where then I renamed it Michael Kubi, so then all I need to tell you, and I could even tell, as I did, I just sent you a message in chat that I didn't have to be disruptive to the whole meeting. I was just like, okay, Michael, request camera control on Michael Kubi, and then you're good to go.
We've actually named all of our Kubi for other famous robots. So they come in as Wall-E and BB-8 and those kinds of things. And so the students know which robot they've been assigned to for the semester.
Yeah, I think that's probably the easiest thing. If since you told us which ones to request control from, is that if that's all you let the student know, just request control for this one. They don't know they can control the other one, so they can that one's theirs.
Yeah, I think that'll be okay
for now.
But what might be interesting, because Michael, you can name the Kubis in our Kubi video app, but you can't. They don't stay named on.
We actually renamed the iPads. So if you go to settings, about, and name the iPad, then it picks up the name when you come into the Zoom app. We have Johnny 5 and the rest of the crew. And that seems to be holding. Those names seem to be holding. So it makes it a little bit easier.
Yeah. So then the host doesn't even have to do anything. It's just only things that you need to do is assign the student, let them know. You do that even ahead of time.
Yeah. And then the tricky bit would then be, on your end, are you accepting, because I'm requesting remote control?
No.
Is that automated?
New Zoom feature, and the iOS app went live yesterday, and the Android one went live about a week ago. So now all platforms of Zoom, you should update all your apps.
I'm heading that direction right now.
And then they'll have all these features there natively. The not requiring accepting camera controls is a huge thing. Because, ideally you could almost leave a Zoom meeting open in any given classroom. Zoom might.
Yeah, they would not.
They don't charge by the minute, but that might change their policy if everyone's just starting to leave them on. But because then literally, as long as everything's powered, you could just have a meeting room sitting there, and then anyone can pop in and start using it.
We're assigning one. We're doing recurring meetings, one per course.
Yeah.
They turn on and turn off with the class times. As the instructor comes in and that kind of thing.
Oh, okay. And whenever I've used Zoom recurring meetings, I just set it that they're available anytime, but you can set it so that it actually will shut off for a certain time?
No, I mean, they're there.
Okay.
They exist, but they're very lonely rooms if it's not during class time.
Yeah.
I know an instructor here at MSU for the hybrid, for the master's degree program. He's got what he calls a coffee house, and it's essentially a Zoom meeting that's left. It's recurring and can join before host. So essentially, it just kind of leaves an open online space for people to chat whenever they have questions about the course.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
so it'd be kind of fun to get them to ping.
Get them to what?
Actually, I guess you get emails. You get an email if somebody joins the Zoom meeting.
Right.
Yep.
But I wonder if that's just for the host. The host, I get notifications if somebody's joined before, and if I'm hosting it. But I don't know if you can set it for everybody in a course.
I believe it will just go to the host. So whoever set that meeting will get that notification that your meeting attendees are waiting.
But it's only the first person. So I couldn't set it up so Michael just joined that I would get an email when he joined when the meeting was already going on. Mm-hmm. Correct?
Yeah, correct.
So the other thing, it's kind of a farther out there thing, but just want to understand the interest from your side is that, obviously as we've discussed, if you're turning and you look at the person next to you speaking and their Kubi's perpendicular to yours, you just see the side of the tablet. Do you think that a curved display or something where it would actually have a little bit more?
I don't know if a curved display or if you had to set them and space them out a little bit further to where they turn, they actually had the right angle.
Yeah, I guess we probably don't have quite a big enough table here, but probably if we're a little further apart, and that's probably what we could probably talk to.
Yeah, so that's better there. Yeah.
Mike probably has a better, kind of benchmark on what that would be of the distances.
Yeah, see now the left and the right looks fine. So when I turn to Randy, I don't see just the side of the iPad.
Yeah. Okay. So maybe it's more just make sure you set them far enough apart. Just like I'm sitting too close to Jeff, everything's.
But I mean, still, even if he's turned like he's turned now, I still see the side. So in a curved display, you really wouldn't do anything if they turn their Kubi.
Right. Yeah, but or I'm even envisioning like at CES we saw some 3D holographic projections. Could I put that as use that same 3D RealSense camera, put that on top of the Kubi, and so now we have this whole projection there.
Another comment to step back a little bit when you were talking about the Zoom enhancements about the not having to approve the remote control. That's a big one for us with our, the help desk app that I've been designing. Once that gets rolling, they press the Meet Now from the Zoom SDK, it automatically launches the meeting, and then we finally have it set to where it sends out the text message. So I get the alert, hey, somebody needs help, and then I just hop on the Zoom meeting, and all I do is pin the video, and it's set. I have the control. They don't have to approve it or press any buttons or anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. And you're doing that through the SDK?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, has anyone done anything special with kind of the scheduling? I know, Michael, you said that you set it up so that it was, a recurring meeting for each class, but in terms of, thinking of a way of assigning which Kubi to which student and letting them know that, obviously that's something that could be done with the API and done relatively simply.
Well, and it's interesting, I think I've mentioned this, but I did a test drive of let me think about this, the Beam telepresence robot. And the robot was the robot. I wasn't, it wasn't awe-inspiring to me, but what was inspiring was their scheduling software. So coming in, they sent me a meeting invite. I clicked the link. It showed me here are 2 available robots, and it was unavailable when I clicked prior to my scheduled time. And then the second my time window opened up, then I was able to jump into one of them. And that kind of that remote management, that scheduling kind of software would be huge as we do that.
Yeah, and so that's where, we've set up, and actually we had a new release of Kubi Video that, again, is just to kind of show how it could work, that we're going a little more in that direction, but we actually want to look at the Zoom APIs so that if we can have kind of a front-end layer that would allow, because all of you are going to want the same sort of thing. So if we can
management layer.
Yeah. Do you know, Michael, much about the APIs? Is that something that could be done that, maybe Revolve would actually make a management layer so that then as they're scheduling different students to come on different times, then they can have them, do some of those assignments?
Yeah, I mean, I don't see why that couldn't be built. As far as, right now that's not in place, but definitely with our API, that's something that the engineering team, that's a little bit over my head. So I don't want to speak on that and kind of not have that information. But I don't see why not.
But you think that's something within the APIs that are available to customers, or it's something that we would have to have Zoom do the development?
That's a good question. I'm not, again, I'm not 100% sure.
Is Andrew the right one to ask?
What's that? Definitely. Andrew's the right one. Yep. I was going to say, who do you communicate with typically for those questions on our end?
Yeah, that's a lot of people.
I know on my end, dealing with the Zoom API, to get the same meeting number. So if you want to use like that person's personal meeting ID, where it uses that meeting ID all the time with the API instead of generating a new one each time. But I haven't looked into a section with the scheduling, but I can look at it and see if there's anything in there currently.
Yeah.
I haven't messed around with it that far yet.
Okay.
Yeah,
I would. And who have you been working with in terms of support for the API?
Me.
A bit on the Zoom side, is there someone? Or
no, mainly I've had issues. I just created a support ticket, and then they've had somebody contact me, but normally I've just muddled through it and found an answer and gotten it, so.
Yeah. All right.
So here's a different question for, in particular, the other university people. We use Zoom for a huge variety of things, from our synchronous classes to a lot of meetings, to the point now, after I started attending meetings on a Kubi, faculty members and staff members are like, oh man, how do I get access to one of those? So when I'm I'm remote, I can actually get on a Kubi. And so we've actually added the Kubis to our system. We have a system that people fill out a ticket that says, I need either support for an online event, what tool are you using? And we've just added Kubi to that as an option of, I just want you to drop a Kubi on so-and-so's desk on this day at this time so I can access it for a meeting. How are you guys handling that? Or do you even allow your Kubis to be hauled around campus and put in different rooms?
We've been delivering them to any room here in the building. So, we're the College of Ed and I work for the dean. So, we can float within any of our departments. And deliver them to our classrooms. But I'm ashamed those requests are coming in on email and it's driving me crazy. And so I'm trying to figure out a way that we can say, okay, here's an appointment calendar. This is the Johnny 5 Kubi, and it has availability these times. And that way I could schedule it. I know that Kubi needs to be in this classroom at that time, kind of thing. So I'm looking at, could I use Google Calendaring for that and just grant, folks access to it so that they can book it like they would an office hour, or those kinds of things.
Yeah, that's a good idea. To Michael.
I got to run out, guys. I'm sorry.
No worries.
Thank you. This was very, very Informative, yes. So thank you all. If you guys have any questions, you have my email address. I can actually send it out, and
I can share it with everyone.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, do that.
I'll CC you on the follow-up.
Okay, fantastic.
We do have a Slack group that we've started too. If you wanna, we can send you the invite into that.
Great, thank you guys so much. I appreciate it.
All right, thanks, Michael.
All right, thanks, Michael.
Bye.
So I think in terms of getting the Kubis out from expanding beyond the classroom, we haven't been doing that as much, and so we have 10 Kubis, but generally they're in a room. They're dedicated for certain courses. Occasionally. We'll get requests. We had a group who was going to a conference in DC, and they actually needed somebody who was going to present remotely, and they wanted to use a Kubi, so they kind of checked it out with us. But we haven't really farmed them out as much as maybe we would like to. But we recognize that maybe there's some training that needs to be involved, and either people are a little bit leery of it, or they don't know necessarily what they need to do to get access to the Kubis. So it's been sort of a slow rollout for us. I think, in terms of it kind of permeating again, we're at a college of ed, and generally we're sort of mixing it up, and we're supporting faculty and students here within a specific doctoral program. So for us, our mandate isn't really, we don't really support college of ed kind of, like Michael does. Michael will support kind of big, wide initiatives within college of ed, but we're kind of more focused on the doctoral program that we service.
I have a question for these guys in a minute. Is it on this topic?
No, it's not. Go ahead. But before we go,
yeah. So it had, we've had a number of customers trying to battle with those same questions and challenges, and I think there's a few different scenarios. One is obviously you leave them in that room, which in a lot of cases doesn't really make sense. But then you can have kind of a common pool area of where they are, and so then the question is are they set up where they reside? It's that they're sitting on chargers, that it's there and ready to go. So the tablet's already on it, it's connected and everything, and then they just bring it. So that's one scenario where it's like easy to set up for the student. And then the other one is, and you could either use the Kubi box, but I just ran out because I wanted to show you guys this, since we just are working with like a case maker that it's got a little slot for a tablet, and then the Kubi and the charging cables. So something like this, is a way that, okay, if you're going to still have the student or teacher or, an admin set it up, but this way you can put the number on the case and whatever, and then write the name of it and deploy it in that manner. So those are some of the different ways that we've seen kind of managing that.
Yeah, that's a good idea. In our scenario, once we get a lot of them in place, it'll work kind of like the Mondo pads that we have on carts. And when people make requests for like the event services department for a meeting room or a classroom or something like that, it goes through EMS, which then automatically creates a ticket into our ticketing system. And they fill out a form that says, okay, I'm requesting this space on these dates and times. And then it has an option, okay, what equipment do you need? Do you need a podium? How many mics do you need? Do you need a laptop, a clicker, a Mondo pad, things like that? So a Kubi would end up, being a check mark on that form and then have it already be set up. And then the other scenario, when we have our help desk app going, they would be on the Jacko carts with the secure update. So if they're secured to the cart, and pretty much we would have one to start out with, one at each campus. So it's always plugged in and charging and ready to go. But when they need it, they can just unplug it and then pull it out.
Oh, you said that was with the Jayco? So you have the Jayco card? Okay.
Not yet, but we're going to be getting, probably 7 of them. So. Okay.
Yeah. So the Jayco has been designed for applications, so it's probably a bit more pricey than you need for a healthcare one. We have some customers that have used, and I could share these with you, that there's an Anthro peanut cart. It's only about $350. That one it's designed just for a tablet. And then we have one that's a little higher end that one of our integrators made that's about $1,300 with the Kubi. That's the drawer and is closer to the Jayco quality and kind of durability. But so that's the other way we've found that people like using them, is that, okay, instead of worrying about, like in a classroom, there's not necessarily like a flat table or desk to put the Kubi on. So instead have it on a cart, that has some height adjustability that you can just roll it around with.
So I haven't seen on the Jaycos if there was like a little shelf, like once they unplugged it from charging, if there was just like a little shelf or something, just like set the chargers in so they're not like dragging the floor or anything like that.
Yeah, I can grab them. I have the cart here. So there's basically a tray that has charging in it, and you can they provide it with a power splitter, so you can bring all of them in there. I mean, you could even put a power strip inside it.
Gotcha.
Well, I'll even bring in the whole. So there's two versions. One is there's this whole case here that I guess if you look.
You guys turn and Randy, if you look that way.
I'm at max rotation.
Oh, here. We'll maybe a little more. There you go.
There you go. Thank you.
This one, it's designed for medical applications, so that they call it the mobile clinic. You know, it's a rolling case that you.
Oh, that's serious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of take around, but I wouldn't presume most of you are going to go to that level.
You know that works if you want to fly in cargo.
So this has like slots for the tablets and everything. But so then this is the actual one. I don't have a Kubi on it right now, but it's designed that it stays on there. So there's essentially one charging cable here, and that. I think I knocked the clip off of it, but there's a clip, or you can leave it on here. That will charge everything, and it's got the tray. Looks like this, where the cables can come through this little air scoop.
Okay, I got you. Okay.
And then inside here is the termination of that wire, and then this is what Jacob provides just a little three splitter, and then you can plug in the Kubi, a speakerphone, and the tablet, and run the cables up. And what's nice about this is that it does have locking, so that there's a key lock here, so it actually locks the whole tray on. So once you have it set, that someone can't actually take the Kubi or the tablet off if you use the Kubi Secure.
That's perfect. Yeah, that's exactly the way we were going to use it.
It's got the height adjustability, so you can, you can take it down to a seated height or up to a standing height, and locking wheels and whatnot. So, and I mean, the key is actually any cart can really be converted to a Kubi cart simply by drilling one hole in the top.
Quarter 20.
A tripod mount. When they thought of a number of specific features that help make it nice, but you can really, And the other one we've just started working with is the. Go ahead and take this one. I think it's connected. Is using the Kubi. So some people have talked about. I'll come back to my seat. So this guy is. There we go. I tapped the Jabra speakerphone. You hear me okay now?
Yep.
Okay. So this is a microphone stand, and they sell an adapter that just basically takes the standard threads of the microphone stand and converts them into the tripod screw. So there's a lot of these out there. I mean, this one was literally a $20 microphone stand, so it's nothing fancy, but it gives, height adjustability of an extra 4 or 6 inches. So, depending on, what sort of spot you have available, then you can kind of do a little bit of adjustment there. And certainly you'd use a floor mount microphone stand too.
It's been really interesting that our students have been much more willing or less concerned about being on the Kubi than they do being in our teleconference room, because when they're alone, when it's maybe there's only one student that's dialing in, they're on an 80-inch screen, and so they're much larger than real life. They are the giant, head behind the instructor, and that's very intimidating for them. And so, we've had students that are requesting, "Hey, can I just be on the robot?" That seems to make them, because they sit. We give them a chair. They sit at a desk, and they take that position. Another student doesn't sit, in the chair behind them. They are right there. And so it gives them, a more sense of place within the classroom.
Yeah.
just as this does with, I know where my position on the table is. I know to the right if I want to,
Yeah, definitely.
to see the other participants, and that's
Okay. I know we've gone well over an hour here. I know I have a few other things, and I'm sure all of you do. But
I
Jeff
do
had
have
something
one
he
thing.
wanted to
Yeah.
talk about, and we can.
Yeah, I just want to make the request. So our PR firm is going to, because this is a new release from Zoom, and I do feel like we're getting some traction here in the university space. Oral Roberts is really interested in this. We haven't gone far enough with them yet to have them join this group. And then there's others. Are any of you willing to talk to press about this experience and where we're going with Zoom on Kubi? Because we have a new PR firm. They're in LA. It's an old friend of mine. It's quite good. And so we're going to pitch this. Are you guys happy to talk to press? Is it cool?
Sure.
All right.
Yeah, no problem.
I mean, we are building our skills. And so I think we're really close to being able to share our experiences.
Okay. And William, I know that you and John have both talked to press, so. Oh, you're muted. We'll take that as tacit approval.
I'm doing a lot of behavioral engagement. That was me nodding and saying, yeah, that sounds great.
All right.
Okay.
All right, so that's coming. I'll tell them.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think already I enjoy these discussions every time. I feel like for all of us, it opens whole new ideas. Like Michael, I mean, that's such a simple thing to just rename the tablets. But it changes, how difficult it is. So we'll update our guide for people of how to set up these hybrid meetings to that now. And so
It just saves the step saving.
Yeah.
Yes.
Definitely.
As we get ready to go, I have a humorous story related to the Kubi use. I was working with my supervisor. He remoted in last week and controlled the Kubi sitting on my desk here in Australia. And so I went ahead and I told him, I said, I'm going to ask you a question and you say yes or no. I said, but instead of saying yes or no, use the Y or the N key on your keyboard. And he about wet himself. He started laughing so hard as the Kubi nodded, both directions for yes and for no. And I've used that a number of times with people, and people just find it hilarious. I was in a meeting with our central IT folks, where one of my team took a Kubi into a meeting with about 30 people, and they just put me on a table at the front of the room so I could hear. And somebody was asking questions of the audience. They were raising their hand if they agreed or something like that. And I was looking back at the audience, and I just pressed the yes key, and my Kubi started nodding up and down. And on the other side of the room, somebody noticed it, and they just burst into laughter about it. So that's just a little humor to add to the conversation, because it was quite fun.
But does it only work with the Kubi main control and not in the Zoom controller?
That's what I noticed. I couldn't get gestures to work.
Because I'm hitting Y hard, making.
There is actually one hack that I'm not sure if the latest release, if they fixed it or not, but you can actually, if you first connect the Kubi control app and then you connect Zoom, both of the apps will actually connect to the Kubi. So then you could actually have on your phone or another browser that, and then it would work. But
Okay.
probably only for this group will know how to set that up. But.
I mean, that actually is something that I could see people using. That that if they had a couple of keystrokes for some gestures, that would take this beyond just a remote control device.
Right.
And start to build in the persona of the person. Pretty cool.
Yeah, and we've actually, into the API that Zoom used, we already have those, the whole gesture as something that they could just send the command of. So it wouldn't be that hard for them to do, but we for a lot of these things, it wasn't until we had the 5th customer go to Zoom and say, I want this, that was when it happened. So that's my ask for
Subtle.
anything,
Yes.
anything that you want to see. You know.
Reach out to our sales reps at Zoom.
Well, you could just submit it even as a support request, or
Yeah.
no, that's what they told me. Like they like
did, okay.
the
That's
way
normally how they handle that.
even for us for requests is just submit it as a support request, and then it gets in their queue system. You know, they use Zendesk.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of saying. Like for when I was working on the API, and I ran into an issue, and I submitted a support request, but then by the time they got a reasonable resolution, I'd already like researched and dug through the API and figured it out. So I was all right. Well, thanks, but yeah,
Yeah, and they're persistent. Of, did you have a good experience?
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's kind of. But I'll I think I have a list of about 8 or 10 things from this talk here that I'll submit into Zoom to try and get. You know, we already have a roadmap of some other features as well that we'll put in, and I think I can share a clip of this video to them, and then they'll see that it's resonating with all of you.
The one big one for me is that, since we have only, met once before, I'm still remembering everyone's names. And so as I use the Kubi, as I'm trying to be good, I'm not looking up above. I'm using the Kubi. It'd be awesome if it would, in a very large, but transparent kind of way, place the name of the person. I see it in the upper left-hand corner. But I can't see it on, it's light on a white background.
And it's so tiny. I mean, I can't even see Randy's sitting here when I'm 4 feet away in person with him, so I could only imagine streaming over video
Right.
that you're not able to see it. I think that might be one of the features that they were starting to put into webinars, so that because if you're broadcasting a webinar, then you want to be able to say who's speaking and those kinds of things.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. There might even be something of that sort in it. Right?
Yeah, that could actually just be an overlay. Since I'm not an active speaker, that could just be an overlay on top of the video feed saying who's talking.
Yeah.
Well, I notice in the lower left-hand corner, if you're on the standard mode where it follows the most active speaker, it does change the name of the person that's logged into the Zoom room. You'll see it in the lower left-hand corner, at least on my computer here. If you're in active speaker mode, as soon as it changes to a different person, it actually shows their name in the lower left corner.
Yeah, I'm not seeing that.
I'm not seeing that.
Oh, if you change, you can change from having large active speaker video to show thumbnail to show small active speaker. Then if you hit the minus, then it says who's talking in the upper right.
Gotcha.
But where you just said that, Michael, it didn't switch to you. So.
Well, no, yeah, not long enough to. You have to chat for a bit before I think it does the auto switch.
Yeah, then it switched that time.
So now it switched.
And of course,
but I do see it in the left corner, so for me, I don't have a problem seeing who's actually talking.
Are you on a PC?
I'm on a PC, yeah.
Okay.
Is everyone else on a Mac? Maybe that's why.
I'm on a Mac.
Dan, are you on a Mac?
I'm on a Mac. That's William.
Okay, yeah, so maybe that's just the difference between the PC and the Mac application.
Gotcha.
Oh, actually, you know what? If my mouse, hold on, I just saw it for a second. When the menu goes away, which maybe that's just a few seconds.
Oh, no, mine says Michael Kubi, the one I'm showing.
Okay, yeah. Where?
Dan, talk for a second.
Okay, so when you started talking before, it was saying talking Michael Griffin. And now it says talking Daniel Odom on mine.
And which view are you in?
I'm just in the active speaker view.
Okay.
Yeah, oh yeah, I see it now because finally the menu goes away. So as long as your mouse isn't over the bottom where there's the the menu, then after about 5 seconds it goes away.
Right. But then you lose. Yeah. Now I'm in active speaker, so I lost. I'm not in my Kubi at this point.
Right.
Oh yeah. Because if you pin it to yours, then yeah, you don't.
Right. So it'd be kind of fun for it to do the overlay. Who's talking as an overlay to whatever video you're looking at. There's, I think, the request.
But okay, so I have that now. So I just pinned to Michael Kubi, so I'm seeing your view and
Okay.
whatever you see, and then it says talking. Though I guess because it's me right now, it's there. It switched to Evolve Robotics, and now if maybe William will talk.
Yeah, so if I turn mine and I've got mine pinned to my Kubi, it still says talking Daniel Odom when I'm talking. And then Marcus, when you were talking, it said Revolve Robotics.
So I'll have to hunt for that because I'm not having the same experience.
Okay.
Right. So if you see the thumbnails, like all the thumbnails. So if you hit the minus on that one, so if you go to hide thumbnail video, then it does that. So then you don't see any of the thumbnails, and it just shows who's talking.
Gotcha.
Which that's probably the best, anyways, because then you're not distracted by any other ones.
Yeah, I had not full screened, and so I was running. I was running just in a window, and so then
full screen
that at that point. You got to be in the full screen to get the film strip to pop out.
Right. Yeah, at one point when I was talking and you were talking, it showed both.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think we've covered a lot here. It was real interesting for me, and I guess I would suggest let's all play with it for another month or so, and see about reconvening. I can't even imagine where we're going to be at in another month.
Absolutely.
All these things. So, and I'll share some of the different items that I brought up today from the accessories, and then update this instructions based on what we've done. So then if you want to, share that anywhere, and, feel free to anything you're discovering, share with the team, on Slack or email.
One thing that that we had a thought on was on the base, if we could get a Kensington lock location.
Oh yeah, we have that. So the Kubi Secure. So this one's Kubi Secure. So this.
Okay.
We have it for the iPad Air, the Pro, and the Microsoft Surface Pro 3, and so that both has tamper-resistant screws.
Okay.
So it can't be taken off, and then it's got the Kensington slot. We've been provided with the Kensington lock.
Gotcha.
And that is just an upgrade kit. Actually, we just reduced the price on it. It was $150. Now it's $100 upgrade kit to get that. So you can swap any of yours to that.
Cool.
Nice.
Yeah, I should have 7 of them coming hopefully pretty soon. So they're going to work great.
Okay. Sounds good. Well, and just to let all of you know, we actually did just lower the pricing of Kubi, so now it's $499, and then education gets 10% discount. So,
wow.
And $450, I guess, is what you'll get, and then we're doing with that because we are able to bundle in Zoom now. So I know that Randy got some of the Zoom accounts, but if anyone and that doesn't already have a site license, wants to get Zoom accounts, we're doing $50 extra per year if you have a small number of accounts. But Zoom has the education. If you get to 20 accounts, then the standard pricing is $90, but we can give a discount off that one too. So if any of you need the Zoom, we can help make it a bit cheaper. I guess Bernal and MSU, you already have site licenses, right?
Yeah.
So just let us know.
All right. Thanks, guys.
All right.
Yeah, great to connect, and hope you guys. I'm gonna actually. We've been doing just a little survey of everyone who's tried out these hybrid meetings, so I'll send that to you guys so I can. We're trying to get a larger pool of data of people doing that. Just a quick, I think, or less, and I can share it with you. We've heard from people, so.
All right.
Grateful if you fill that out too.
Okay.
All right, Marcus, could you send out the that Jabra mic that you're actually using with the model and stuff on that? Send that as an email. That would be awesome.
Okay. Yeah. I'll send that one too.
All right. Thanks.
Perfect. Thanks, guys.
Take it easy, guys.
All right. Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Good to see everybody.
Yep.